Hello, brethren, ladies, and friends, and welcome to Three Knocks at the Door at Natoma 64, a podcast dedicated to Natoma Lodge 64, located in Folsom, California. Masonic education, Masonic events, and other Masonic bodies in the greater Folsom area. Your hosts are Brother Jeff Joe and worshipful Brother Noel Lucas. If you'd like to share ideas or have feedback for us or would like to join our mailing list, please feel free to email us at 3katd64@gmail.com. Today we're joined by Brother Dennis Davis and his wife Mary, our Cornerstone Award winner. We will keep in mind that our conversations will not violate our obligations and that our opinions in no way reflect any views taken by our lodge or Grand Lodge. We hope you'll enjoy the show. All right, well, welcome everyone to Three Knocks at the Door at Natoma 64. I am Jeff Joe, joined by worshipful Brother Noel Lucas. And we have our special guest this episode, Brother Dennis Davis and his lovely wife, Mary Davis. And just wanted to give a special shout out to Brother Darren Marin. Thank you for the email and the feedback. Much appreciated. And hopefully we have some more episodes here for you to enjoy. So worshipful Noel, if you have some more info and introductions for you.
Thanks, Brother Jeff. All right. Well, I have the great pleasure of introducing Dennis Davis and his wife, Mary Davis. And we are going to give a little talk, a little bit of history, kind of see how they met, how Masonry's played in their life, how some of the working with the appellate bodies has been, and what they see coming up and what they hope to see in the future. So with that, let's see. Do we start with you, Dennis, or do we start with Mary? You want to start with you? All right.
We'll start with Dennis. I'm in white.
All right, Dennis. Well, hey, why don't we knock it out? We'll start off with a little bit of your history and how you came into Masonry and got involved.
Okay. A little bit of my family background. My grandfather, Earl Blake, was a Yorkite Mason back in the 20s, and he was a member of the band back that time, and he told me one time that they had a big gathering back in Chicago, and they had a big train that started up in Seattle and came down to San Francisco, and they were picking up Masons to go back east. And that's all that could be on the train are the Masons. And they went all the way to Chicago and had their whatever they did back there and came back. And I was just imagining all of those Masons on that train and all the fun that was happening. So
Must have been a fun party.
Yeah. Anyway, he was Yorkite and was in the band, and I have pictures of him in his plume and his sword. And the sword eventually went to my mother and then came to me after my mom died. And I had it presented to my granddaughter, who was grand officer in Rainbow, and they were having a little celebration. And I had the Yorkite come out and present that sword to them.
Brother Brian Tatro did the presentation.
Oh, okay.
Very nice.
My mother was Rainbow, and she had to be Rainbow back about 1930 when I back out how old she was and stuff, and the age that they could go in. And she actually, I found her dues card that was signed by
Mark Sexton.
Mark W.
Mark Sexton, the founder of Rainbow.
Yeah. and
Oh.
he's the one that wrote the Rainbow Ritual. So I have that back there. My mother went on to get her 50-year pin, and I was able to pin that onto her. I'm sorry, she was a member of Eastern Star eventually, and she got her 50-year pin in Eastern Star. So the funny part about all this, and it wasn't so funny, is I didn't know that until after I had gone into Masons in 1980. So all of this I grew up with, and I knew nothing about it.
Why do you think
So-
that was?
She wanted him to join DeMolay and he wouldn't do it.
Well, that's one. One time she brought it up to me in high school, wanted me to join DeMolay. Well, the people that I was running around with in high school, I had no idea what DeMolay was, but it would mean getting into a different group. And I was ROTC in high school. So being ROTC in high school, I had a lot of extracurricular activities to go through on it. And on that, even on that, I'm not sure I would have joined because I was a little bit standoffish in those days.
You?
Yes.
Yeah, isn't that something? Anyway, they also, I had two sisters that I grew up with. I had a lot more than that eventually. Two sisters that I grew up with, and one of them was Rainbow, and the other one was Job's daughter. And even with them doing that and me being in the house for it, I never put anything together that this had anything to do with Masons. So I had a good background on that. And
So
then
with that, then Dennis, what made you want to join Masonry then? If you didn't go for the background, what was it that enticed you, and what brought you to the fraternity?
I think that started when my dad went into Masons.
Yeah.
And in the late 70s.
Yeah.
And it was just about the time that Dennis and I got together that my dad went in.
Well, the reason I went into Masons is because I found out that the Shriners were part of Masons. And I wanted to be a clown. That's why I went in. But
I get it.
But beside that, I was married to a woman, my first wife, and she was not the sociable type, shall we say. So she didn't want to get involved with any of that stuff. Okay. And so I didn't get involved with it, but she had an aunt and an uncle. Their names was Simpson, and he was a master mason with Washington 20. And we had talked about masonry and all that stuff. And then eventually, in the 78, me and my first wife separated, or there was a divorce. And lo and behold, here comes Mary. And when I got to know Mary, before we got married, I found out that her parents were involved in Concord in Masonry. So that kind of, the whole thing just kind of went, and I went back to Charles, which was the uncle, and because I was still good friends with him, no matter whether we had a divorce or not, and had them, and he signed my petition to take me into Washington 20. So I had to He didn't ask me to, but I talked enough about it to make it obvious that I wanted to do it. And so, and besides that, I wanted to be a clown.
All right.
So anyway, that's kind of how I got to the point of being of doing masonry or of being a mason. So I went into I went into as an entered apprentice in 1980 and was raised in 1980. It was early 80 that I went in, kind of towards the end of 80 that I was brought it to a second degree. And I was raised in 81. And the reason that there was a difference there was the reason was not because I didn't know my work, but the reason was that in February, the Washington 20 has a past masters night where they do a degree if they can. So they were waiting for everybody to come together on doing a degree. And that's when I got my degree,
Wow.
my third degree. So that's kind of where I was with all of that. I wrote a few more things down, but it's probably things that nobody's interested in.
Well, hey, Dennis, how did you end up coming to Natoma Lodge?
In 1980, after I joined, the Corps of Engineers said, "We need you down at Vandenberg." So they sent me to Vandenberg for a few years.
Well, no, that was in 81.
Well,
Before,
81.
but in
Okay.
80, when you were going through masonry, you found out about the different
Yeah,
youth organizations.
Yeah. And they sent me down to Vandenberg. And when I came back, I was a member of Washington 20, and I was doing, they had put me in a different, they did, Washington 20 was downtown. When I joined 20, I was right there for the meetings, but it got to be a real pain to try to find a parking space down there because they had a little tiny place and it was down at the other end of town. So when in the early 80s, and Mary will talk about this, my three daughters went into Rainbow at Natoma. And
we lived in Orangevale at the time.
Yeah. And when they went into Rainbow, I got involved with Rainbow to help out Rainbow because I had decided early in my Masonic career that what I was going to do was concentrate on the kids. And that means being a clown. That means the DeMolay. That meant the Rainbow. And then we didn't have Job's daughters at that time.
Well, we did, but our girls went into Rainbow, and that was just too many nights out.
Yeah. Anyway.
But they didn't stay at our lodge very long.
Anyway,
our girls
that's when I started going to the lodge. But that went all the way through the 80s. And I was not a member of the lodge. And I think it was about 88. I'm not sure exactly when I went into Natoma. But it got to a point of I'm spending all my time knowing everything about Natoma and not going downtown to the Washington 20. And I know it's bad to give up your mother lodge, but I gave it up because I didn't want to pay double dues on the assessments on it, and because it didn't make any sense to do that. But I was very tied into Rainbow at that time, and so that's why I decided to come over to Masons and be a member of your lodge. Now, it took all the way till 19. When did I start being a? I very seldom went to lodge.
Oh.
And I didn't take any offices
until 2018 when Brian asked.
2018 when Brian asked me if I would be Tyler, and Mary made a deal with him that if he'd come into Eastern Star, that I would be a Tyler for him. So that's how I got to be in a Tyler.
But the whole time that he was there before he went in, before he became an officer, he was always the one in the kitchen doing the dishes, because the girls the Rainbow Girls cooked while the adults cooked. The Rainbow Girls were in charge of the dinner, so we did the cooking and the cleaning, and the girls did the cleaning and including mopping the floors and everything. The girls did that. The adults did the cooking. The girls helped if they wanted to. Dennis was in the kitchen. He was the Mrs. Barnes that washes dishes. He used to wash the dishes.
So what I'm hearing is, in order to get out of doing the dishes, he became an officer.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. All right.
Well put, worshipful, but I didn't want to say that. I really got to feel like that was my lodge. And if I needed to be a member there, if I'm going to do that, it's hard for me to be a member without getting into it. So eventually, at least you guys let me have a position that I don't have to know anything. I just watch the ball game and make sure everybody knows what the score is.
There are important things that the Tyler has to take care of, Dennis.
So anyway,
well, when we were in Lompoc, he mentioned the ball game and the scores, because when we were in Lompoc, that was the duty of the Tyler or the Sentinel for Eastern Star or the Outer Observer for Rainbow Girls. They had to report, and that was all the local games, the major league games, everything. That was very sports-oriented town, and so that was part of the job.
When I went to Lompoc to work on the space shuttle program down there in 81, my two daughters from my first marriage stayed with their mother up here in Sacramento. And so my girls decided the only way that they could see me once in a while was to make me Rainbow Dad, which means twice a month I had to drive all the way from Lompoc up to Sacramento and back down in order to fulfill that in a Dodge Omni.
Yep. Little
Dodge Omni.
When Carolyn was worthy advisor, that whole term, he only missed one meeting.
Wow.
And I was the substitute for that one. So I came up anyway.
So what I'm hearing is Masonry and his youth orders bring families together.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Masonry and youth orders bring families together.
It does. It truly does. If it used to be, you couldn't go into meetings unless you were tied to one of the Rainbow Girls or be a member of so some of these people joined just so that they could go to their rainbow meetings with the girls. And so it does truly bring in,
Yeah.
and the same thing with Eastern Star. Eastern Star, it used to be you needed to have a connection there. And now we can bring anybody in as long
Yes.
as we're vouched for that person. So and so we've got men now starting to join because the women are going into the Eastern Star and the men
Want to come with them.
want to be available for them. So I really think it does build that.
It sure does.
I'm
Well-
sure there's a bunch of stuff I forgot.
Oh, that's okay. We'll circle back. I mean, you mentioned going to the shrine and becoming a clown. So let's talk about that journey a little bit. When did you end up going to the shrine?
When I joined Masons, you had to learn it all.
Everything.
Everything.
And give it all back.
It was very, very difficult.
But some of the guys that he worked with were Masons. They came to his initiation and they would go out for walks at lunchtime. And when we were in Vandenberg, they'd go for walks on the beach at lunchtime. And that's how he learned all of his work.
There's a park right on the back side of the federal building down there. We used to go sit on the park bench and get real close together and whisper. And you know how long that lasted with my people that are looking out the window up on the 6th floor. One of these
gossip.
These guys. So
you got a guy whispering secrets while working on the spacecraft. I'm sure that didn't raise any red flags at all.
So some
of our astronauts are Masons, so
they are.
But I did manage to learn my work. You can't tell it today but I did. I should have gone into the lodge right after I did that, because by the time I did, my mind was mush. So the government has a way of making mush out of your head.
Yes.
I ended up being a negotiator on millions of dollars worth of claims and changes and contracts, and that did it for me. But anyway, I think that kind of covers why I went into Mason. It doesn't say anything about all this other stuff I wrote down. I don't know why the heck I wrote it down.
What he did not say was he always wanted to be a clown. After he became a Mason, he said, I'm still going to join the shrine and become a clown. We were in the Penny's outlet in Reno, and he found a $3 pair of plaid pants before he was ever a Shriner. It was 2 or 3 years before he finished and accomplished that and wore his plaid pants.
They were 58s.
Size 58.
Size
Yeah.
58.
And it turns out his mother was afraid of clowns.
But that reminds me, what I didn't say, after you joined Masons and go through the ringer, you still had to wait a year to join Scottish Rite, and a year after that to join Shrine. So you don't get to, in those days, you didn't get to a free walk immediately out the door. So but I really enjoyed clowning. I really enjoyed Scott. The only thing I did ever with Scottish Rite is go to Monday, Thursday things and be Santa Claus at Christmas time, because I didn't have enough time to do all the rest. But that's basically. Oh, and by the way, when I joined Masons, I joined Washington 20. When I joined
Scottish, right?
Scottish Rite. I was down in Stockton because they had sent me back up from Vandenberg,
Sharp
and
Army Depot.
I joined Oakland Scottish Rite,
Oh,
and then I moved it to Sacramento, and I joined
Amis.
Ami's Shrine, and then moved that to Benally eventually. So I was born other places and moved, as it were.
Well, you are a traveling man, huh?
Yeah.
yeah. Definitely.
Now, Dennis, we've danced around it. You talked about the clowns. You mentioned your journey to the clowns. How did you come up with your name? What is it?
My goodness. I don't think you have enough time.
My name, Macduff. I had two fathers.
While
What-
we were in Lompoc, he found out he met his other father's side of his father's birth father's side of the family.
I did not know my other family until I was
35, I think.
no, not
older?
35.
Older?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
It was way late in life that I found out it was in the 80s.
Right.
When we went down
82.
there. Anyway, I had family all up and down the West Coast I didn't even know I had. But the father that I call him
Which one?
Denny.
Denny's your birth father.
Birth father. Call him my birth father. Denny owned the garbage collection in Grants Pass, Oregon. Everybody loved him. Everybody loved him. Always. But he couldn't remember people's name. So when he ran across somebody and somebody said hi, he'd call him Macduff or McGillicuddy. And I couldn't spell McGillicuddy. So it's Macduff it was.
Well, and not only that, but his adoptive father, the one that adopted him, was a golfer. So the Duff went with Macduff.
And I had golf outfit, clown stuff, all that. But my time in Shrine was fun because it used to be we had something called the Western Shrine, and every year we'd go out and there'd be a third of the United States would be there as far as representing the clowns, and we'd have a big clown competition. And I got to run a couple of those clown competitions. I really, really enjoyed doing that.
Costume, makeup, balloons, multiple balloons. It was a whole 3 days full of competitions.
One time I was at the Shrine Circus, and when we were at the Shrine, the Shrine Circus, they would have us come and do balloons and get dressed up. I don't know, we got done with the circus and we were walking down the street, and some little girl about 5, 6 years old, she ran 3 blocks to grab me by the leg and say, "I love you, Macduff," and there's just nothing better than that kind of recognition.
Wow.
Yeah.
When we were doing in clown, we'd go up to Oregon and to the Boatnik days, which is a jet boat competition up there, and it's a big deal and all that stuff. We'd go down the street as Shriners because the Shriners let us, all our group, go with them, and you'd hear people way down the street saying, "Hey, the Shrine's coming, the Shrine's coming." And they were all enthused about that. And that's really...
And they ended up there because one of the sisters that he met after he was older, turns out she was a Job's daughter, and so was the sister from that marriage. And one of his sisters was a rainbow girl that he didn't know, another sister. So all of these things were interconnected, and we didn't even know it. But The sister that was from Grants Pass, that was was Job's connected. Her father-in-law was potentate of the shrine up there. So come up here and join us, And what, 3 or 4, maybe more, I don't know. A bunch of the clowns joined Hilla Shrine just because we went up every year for at least 10 years and did the parade. And that was a parade where people were up against the buildings and clear out to the street, and the police had to keep pushing us back because it was the whole parade route was just packed.
Wow.
It was amazing.
I got one other little story, and it's got to do with Masons. Okay. I was living not very far from where I live right now before I went to Vandenberg. And I went into a little shop, alcohol, that sold alcohol, and I got some wine, and I brought it up to the front, and it said, "We don't take credit cards," because I was going to pay by credit card. And then I get out my checkbook and I look down and it says, "We don't accept checks." And I said, "Oh, you don't accept checks?" Because I didn't have the cash for it. And he says, "Don't worry about it." And he had an accent. He says, "It's okay." He says, "I'm from Greece. And when I left Greece, my grandfather said, you can always trust a Mason." And I had a ring on, Masonic ring. And that says it all to me. Trust is everything. And if you can trust a Mason, you're never alone. There's always somebody there for you. So that's it. That tells me that's the other part of Masonry that I just absolutely love, is the camaraderie between the brothers, even when we're mad at each other.
Which rarely ever happens.
It's no matter where you go. He would go when we were in Lompoc. He went to he would go to the events there with the girls and the Rainbow Girls, because my daughter lived with us and she joined Rainbow down in Lompoc, and it was just like Dennis belonged, she belonged. The next door neighbor was Eastern Star, and she said to Dennis, "Is your wife an Eastern Star?" Because he went and rented a house before we went down, and he said, "Well, yes, she is, but she doesn't know the work. She just joined." She goes, "That's all right. I'm on the examining committee." And
Gotcha.
it turns out she taught me what I needed to know in order to go in. And you have your dues card, and you've got friends everywhere you go. We've been lots of places, and it's just like we had to preview rainbow assemblies before we made our next move. And baseball, because my son was into baseball, but we had to go find the rainbow assemblies and see how they were, and see, before we could even look to see if there was a house available in the area. Nope, we have to see what their assembly's like. So it speaks for all of Masonry and all the affiliated bodies. And I've always belonged to a chapter where I live and a chapter here, my home chapter. And you have friends wherever you go.
We went from Lompoc down to Los Angeles when we were living in Simi Valley. She got into Rainbow and Simi Valley.
Played the piano for them.
Yeah. Then we found out I had a sister over in Victorville. So we went over to see them, and they were.
I had calls to come play the piano for their rainbow assembly after we moved back to El Dorado Hills.
Oh, and by the way, speaking of that over there, did you know Roy Rogers was a Mason? And he was a Shriner.
Wow. Huh.
And he had a museum there, and he was my hero growing up. So my sister says, oh, we'd go to church with him. So come
Wow.
Christmas, gives me from the museum. She bought a Roy Rogers cap and gave it to me.
Wow.
And I looked at it and I said, "This isn't signed." And she grabbed it and took it and got it signed by Roy
Wow.
Rogers.
That's cool.
Well, I mean, that's so cool. And also, there's a song called
Faith, Hope, and Charity.
You Gotta Have Faith, Hope, and Charity.
You guys have probably heard. That's what I play for the girls when they march
Right.
in the beginning of the
Yep.
meeting.
Okay.
That was written by Dale Evans.
That was written by Dale Evans.
For
And they were big on
Rainbow.
Rainbow down there, Rainbow and
and Eastern Star.
Eastern Star
and
and Mason's
Shrine. Yeah.
and Shrine.
Very family oriented.
So you were going to talk about the lodge.
The lodge. What would you like to know about the lodge?
Give them a head thing of where things were.
Well, the lodge, the existing lodge room was there. If you come across where the men's restroom is now, that was the women's restroom. You go down the side, that was, the small dining room was the dining room. The kitchen had roll-up windows, and it was on the side of the existing dining room. There was no dining room in the back. No kitchen in the back. The men's restroom is where the janitor's room is now. Where the display cabinets was a closet. And we used to pull up and park alongside the building, right up next to the building where you've got nice planters and a patio and all of that. We used to park right up next to the building, the parking lot.
Yeah, it was in the dirt.
It was dirt. Yeah. So we parked up alongside the building.
So that was in.
I think it was 1990. They decided to remodel or add the big dining room, and they changed the. It might have been late 89 because Julie Schultz was grand officer. We held her reception in the small dining room that had everything torn up. The walls were all torn up and everything. And Tom Humphrey went in and painted them all one color so that we could hold her reception in there. And there was caution tape going into where the big dining room is. And it was where the girls, how they go in and change. Well, we would send the girls upstairs to change because there wasn't enough room in the small bathroom, the women's bathroom. And it was quite a bit different. The biggest thing I remember is don't leave anything out. Do not leave anything on the counter. Do not leave anything on a table in the dining room. No food at all, because otherwise it'd be covered with ants when you came out of your meeting.
Oh, man.
It was like we were living on an anthill. Don't leave anything.
I remember hearing some stories about that.
Oh, yeah. It was terrible. It was really terrible. But they made a lot of nice changes. It was hard to accept some of them, like losing the parking lot right next to the house or next to the building. Now we have to come from the parking lot. But it's nice to have a paved parking lot and a big enough facility that we can have people come and hold events for other chapters and like overflow into the small dining room if we need to. And we do appreciate that. Eastern Star got so small we had to consolidate back in 2006. But there were enough of us from Folsom that we got it started, and then New Hope chapter was looking for a place that was handicap accessible, and when they remodeled and built the building, that was good. I never saw the original building I think it was downtown Folsom, old Folsom. But I know Debbie Ritchie's parents helped, and Janice Barnes and her husband, even though he never became a Mason, he was Trudy Campbell's son. And they were over there helping construct the new building, the one we're in now. And Janice has always been there building and cooking and doing whatever, even when she couldn't go into the Rainbow Girls meetings when her daughter was a Rainbow Girl.
She's still there.
She's still there. Yeah, she's not there as much because she's like Dennis, getting up there in age and it's catching up. But she joined Eastern Star and she's still the lamplighter, but she doesn't go to Rainbow anymore because she can't hear the girls. So we have to teach them to speak loud enough, like they're out on the playground all the time, because they don't talk very loud.
Well, but that's one of the things we talk about with the young ladies, right? Is how they start off very soft spoken a lot of the time, and you can see their progression throughout the time. And by the time they're hitting in the chairs, they're starting
Right.
to
Our
really
girls went in
enunciate.
there in 1981. They joined Rainbow. Carolyn and Ginger did. Cindy was 2 years behind them because she was younger. And it's just amazing. I thought, okay, after Cindy gets majority, I'll quit going. Well, that was a long time ago. And then Kira went in, and then, well, after Kira's done, I'll quit going. Well, guess what? I'm still there. So
Yeah, and the girls love it when you come in, play the music, and it helps out, and it does add an extra bit. So
you watch them when they come in quiet and shy and meek and mild, or some of them, like we've got a couple that have come in just totally wild, and you watch them learn to settle and become young women and learn to speak up and learn to respect others. And I think that's one of the things that I appreciate most out of Rainbow is that the girls learn to talk to people of all ages and get along with people of all ages and learn to do for others and not just themselves. It's a way of life. It's a way of life. But they used to work a lot harder because they used to mop the floors and help clean the kitchen and put the dishes away, and they don't do any
their
of that.
numbers used to be a little bit bigger too, and things have changed a lot,
That's
right?
true.
A lot of our young ladies have to work, so.
Well, that's
it's a
the
little
other
different.
thing. When our girls worked, but they still figured out how to get the night off for Rainbow and things that they needed to. The kids.
I was trying to give them an out, Mary, but if it's fine.
No out there. I don't think they try as hard. I know girls have been hired because they had on their application that they were passworthy advisor or even just a Rainbow Girl, because that's how well Rainbow was known for their honesty and behavior and politeness and all the things. They have a lot of different rules than they used to have, and I hope that the girls are still learning as much as our girls learned when they were in Rainbow. I know our girls have been very successful. Cindy's a teacher. Ginger has her own business now, and Carolyn's getting ready to retire as part owner of whatever her engineering thing is. And I have to be honest, I cried at installation when she was installed for the advisor or mother advisor.
Mother advisor, nice.
Because I remembered when I couldn't be at their initiation in Rainbow, but because they were initiated in January, I didn't become a member of Eastern Star until March. But I remember when they were first in and how small and quiet, and Carolyn was very quiet. When she became a grand officer, she said to Ginger, "You have to be my escort because I don't know anybody and you know everybody. You've lived all over the place." So.
And in 2013,
yeah,
I was very honored to get the Hiram Award. And I keep wondering when you're going to come and take it away from me.
They told me I'm not allowed to.
And
They said as long as you stay
then
Tyler, it's yours. So that's what they
and
said.
Mary was honored to be given
I think
the
you
Cornerstone.
yes, you guys.
First of all, let me say something about the Cornerstone Award. That the name of that award is so perfect because it says it all. Because a Mason always starts with a cornerstone to make sure everything else goes right. And for you to award that to Mary,
It's the first time I think I've ever been speechless. Just totally speechless.
So I thank the Lodge for both of those awards very much. And
they say what our Grand Cross of Color at Rainbow says is that okay, we're giving this to you because you've done a lot of work, but we expect a lot more.
no, we expect you to redouble your effort.
Redouble your effort.
No, both
used up
awards
your
were
hour,
very
I
much
think.
deserved. No, you're good. You
If
guys
I
are good.
now?
No, we're good. You guys
Are you
are
gonna-
very much deserving of both awards. I mean, the
Very much
Lodge
so.
has succeeded very much because of both of your help. I mean, I know I've only gotten to know you guys over the last few years. Dennis, you became Tyler when I joined the Lodge, so that was kind of at the same time. And so I love getting to know you two over the years. And I appreciate you both taking the time tonight to kind of go over a little bit of the history, give us a little bit of your background. But I definitely can safely say that both of you 100% were deserving of the awards given. You guys
Absolutely.
have done so much to help our lodge. You both made my year as master a lot easier. You were both, advised me in different things, helped me out with the girls, helped me out with the lodge, helped me out just in everywhere, every which way it
Didn't give you
was.
bad enough time, huh?
You know what? You tried, but I've taken a lot before, so. But don't worry,
You had a great
one's right
year.
around the corner. The other guy here.
You had a great year.
Don't say
It
that.
was a very successful year. So.
I feel like all you guys are part of our family because you are part of our family.
Yeah.
And I wish my other chapter didn't meet on the same night as stated meeting because I miss seeing all the ladies. I miss not knowing everybody as well as I used to. So many have passed that I knew very well. It's hard. And I come in there and, some of these guys, well, I know everything. No, you don't.
Yeah. No.
And they don't know who I am or how long I've been around. It's like, go ahead, say it. I'll show you.
Our lodge
But-
is very fortunate to the men and the women that have been putting so much time in to make it happen, and of course
Yeah,
our youth
and
orders and supporting too.
And I love the fact that you have so many coming in that are younger. I wish that we could get some of you to come join Eastern Star. I understand you're all busy. We're all busy, but that's what used to make it fun is that we all did everything together and we had joint projects together. And if a lot of our ladies, especially the older ones, when you have something, if they know about it, they come because that's how it used to be. We did everything together. It was a family affair, and Natoma was a family affair. That just how it was.
It very much is. Yeah, and the way it's going, it's going to continue to be that way for another 170 plus years. So.
I hope so.
Hopefully, yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So which one of you is going to join and be my worthy patron because Dennis doesn't want to do it again?
Huh? What? Hold on. I think I hear my wife calling. I gotta go.
I think I've heard that before.
I got
That's
a
all
lot.
right. I'll get Brian to do it again.
I've
There
got
you
quite a bit studying to do
Uh,
for next year.
oh, this isn't for 4 more years.
Oh, really? Okay, well then,
Okay.
maybe I might be
All
available
right.
then.
Yeah, Betty, come ping me in a couple of years. Let's talk. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you know me. I'll never stop bugging you.
All right, Mary. Yeah, yeah.
You know,
I better not. I'll be very disappointed, Mary, if you do the show. But
I just
Dennis,
thinking about doing this podcast. I thought, how am I going to have enough to say for an hour?
yeah, when we put this together, we thought, how are we going to keep him contained for an hour? That's what we're. But no, again, guys, thank you so much for everything you've done for not just tonight and taking some time out, but just for the lodge and all of it. I mean, Masonry has grown stronger because of you two and people like you, and we can only hope to emulate a lot of the love and respect that you two have shown to the lodge, to the appellate bodies, the youth orders, to everybody. So thank you for
Thank
all.
you.
That's what family's about. That's what family's about. And you're our family.
Yeah.
Thank you
Man,
so much.
love being part of it.
Yeah. So, alrighty. Well, so I guess it's time for to go talk about events here, upcoming events. So we got next event coming up is going to be the OSI coming up on Wednesday. It's going to be at Natoma Lodge. It starts at 7:00. And then we have officers practice on Thursday, also starting at 7:00. And it's going to be both are going to be on the first degree, so it's going to be open to all Masons. So if you'd like to come out and learn a little bit more about ritual, and especially with the OSI, you get to meet some of the other brothers in the district. Come on out and check it out, meet some of the other brothers in the district, and learn more about ritual. We'd love to have you. And also, if you're interested in learning more about the ritual and possibly maybe even thinking about becoming an officer, come on out to either one of them, OSI or to officers practice. We'd love to have you out. And then coming up on, let's see, Thursday, March 5th, we have our stated meeting. And then on March 14th, we have our trip to the Masonic homes, where we're going to do a tour and see some of the brothers that are out there, living out there at the homes. So that'd be great. If anybody's interested, please let us know. There was an email sent out, so if you'd like to RSVP for that, please let us know. And then we have our first degrees that's going to be scheduled for March 19th. So keep an eye out for the email coming out for that as well.
You did skip one event.
Oh, God.
Most
can't
important
forget.
event of the month. Yeah.
Oh, yes. We do have we do have the best breakfast west of Reno. Saturday, March 7th. And that same day, there's also going to be Masonic outreach. They're doing an educational meeting at the same time. I believe it starts at 9:00, also at Natoma Lodge. And yeah, and there's also an initiation the same day in Auburn. Which I'll be attending if anybody's interested in going to that as well. So a lot of stuff going on. So it's going to be a busy month. So, does anybody else have anything?
Mary, you want to talk about when Rainbow and when Eastern Star meet?
Rainbow meets the first and third Monday of each month. Doesn't matter if there's a holiday or not. We meet the first and third Monday of each month at 7:00. Eastern Star meets the fourth Saturday at 10 a.m. Actually, the Bible comes in at 5 minutes before 10. So we welcome any Eastern Star members to come, and anyone interested in joining can contact me or get my number from Joe or Noel, or Jeff or Noel. Well, Joe too.
Either one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
all
all
the Joes
all
have
of
my
them.
number.
You call me
Yeah,
Jeff,
all-
Joe, or just don't call me late for dinner. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't do that.
Or they can come to the breakfast
Or they can come
because
to
we're always
breakfast.
there.
And there's a group of us always at the breakfast. And the reason Katie's husband is joining your lodge is because she wants him to come into Eastern Star. So there's an example of membership.
I'll tie it back in
We
together.
can both grow. And I know that Ralph has been around helping a lot in all different areas of your lodge as well as Eastern Star. So anyone's welcome to come and join us that is a member. And if not, we have information.
All right, McDuff,
Okay.
how about Shrine? What do we got going on? Anything?
He doesn't really
I
get
don't know.
active anymore.
I'm not.
That's okay.
I can't be a guy. You got to be young and agile.
Well, correct
But
me
if
if I'm
there's
wrong,
someone
but
that
they
wants to be a
still
clown, we'll teach him how to do makeup.
So if you're not young and agile, you got to know how to drink. And the doctor said no more of that stuff either. So
Yeah. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Shrine still meets for their stated dinners on the second Tuesday of the month.
That's correct.
Okay. Yep.
I believe it's $30 a plate for dinner, and they want advance reservations.
are we doing a corned beef and cabbage this year in April?
I'm hoping so.
No, it's
You know,
March.
March. I
It's
believe
March, though, right? Yeah, but
Yeah, I
say,
believe-
yeah, March. Yeah, St. Patty's
Really?
Day. March.
Yeah,
That's the
The stated meeting.
yeah, it should be coming up. I'm not sure though. I'd have to talk to Rob.
I'd have to. Yeah, but say I'd have to ping our junior warden. You know, once I became a past master, they just don't tell me anything anymore. So it's like,
You have to get on the mailing list, Noel.
how soon we forget.
I might have to show up late for my meeting just so I can come have dinner if you do the corned beef. By Saturday breakfast, we should know, right?
we should. I'll definitely find out here soon.
Okay.
All right. Well, all right. I guess we'll call it here. And everyone, don't forget that not only see us here on YouTube, but you can catch us on Spotify and follow us on Instagram at 3KATD64. All right.
Have a good night, everybody. Thanks
All
for
right.
everything.
Thank you, Dennis
Night,
and
guys.
Mary. Thank you for
you.
joining us, and everyone, thank you for joining us, and have a great night. And we'll see you on the next episode.
You got it.